Hi, welcome back to Pieces of Western New York, where we talk to cool people doing cool things throughout Western New York. We're here today at 80 Fit 716 in Black Rock. This is where I personally train a couple days a week. And if you're not familiar with Black Rock, it's a little part of Buffalo, just west of North Buffalo, just kind of north of the west side. We are here just literally the next building over is Dapper Goose, if you're aware of that restaurant. Wegmans Amherst Street is just down the street about a block or so. Chandlerville, which has gotten a lot of popularity over the last several years, is just a couple blocks that way. But it's just another part of Buffalo that we wanted to explore. So let's hop in and talk to April about what she's created here. April, thanks for sitting down. We're so excited to include you in our Pieces of Western New York
Thank you.
series. So we wanted to come in here specifically because I feel like you have a really great and maybe a little bit of a different approach to personal training than I've heard at other facilities throughout Western New York. Can you talk a little bit about sort of how this came to be?
Sure.
and what's been happening with you?
Okay. I've been training since 2016. Fast forward to March of 2020. We all know what happened there. I had a couple of training jobs at the time, and then unfortunately COVID hit and kind of shut all that down. I was in the process of thinking of starting my own space around that time anyway. And really COVID just kind of pushed me into that a bit. I had some time on my hands. So I worked on my business plan, was able to get together my resources. I was fortunate enough as I was driving to Wegmans to see the for rent sign in this beautiful space. And I opened my doors in September of 2020, and I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do you think differentiates you from other training or other gyms out there?
I honestly think the personal touch. What the feedback that I get from a lot of clients is the time and consideration that I have for them. Just the way that I maintain the space, the way that I execute the workouts, but also really I'm super mindful of making sure everyone gets personal attention. I also have a very inclusive space. I think a lot of people feel very safe and comfortable here that don't feel that way in bigger facilities or even smaller facilities that have more of a old school type of training mentality, which is all about, body image and I focus more on like the health component and the functional component over just the aesthetics.
Yeah, I should disclose, I train with you a couple days a week.
Yes, you do.
And I know I feel like you push us, but I don't feel like I'm ever going to do something that's going to injure my body, or if I'm struggling with something, I never feel like it's a hard and fast, well, you just have to do this. I feel like there's flexibility.
Yeah. And I check in like a ton. How is that? How does that feel? How is that weight? I feel what I am good at. One of the things that I'm good at is pushing people appropriately depending on where they're at. So there can be 4 people in the space that can be at completely different skill levels. And I feel like everyone's going to leave feeling like they got a good workout and also feeling like they were pushed, but not to the point that they feel unsafe or uncomfortable. So that's something that I think I have a pretty good grasp on.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that leads into sort of another question I have is I have noticed that there's really a wide variety of clientele that seems to come from, young and fit to, an older demographic to non-binary people. I just feel like it's a really wide variety of people here. And it's also like a really fun, welcoming community.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
That actually just kind of evolved over time. And it's something I'm incredibly proud of. Like the community, the actual workout community here, I'm incredibly proud of. Everyone's very supportive and welcoming. You're not getting the type of atmosphere of what people may perceive as judgments in other spaces.
Yeah.
My youngest client is 15, my oldest client is 84, and I literally have everybody in between. I have a lot of families, husbands and wives. I get a lot of referrals, from people that have had good experiences that will bring other people in. And really, the business just kind of took me there. You know, I know what I had intended when I first opened, and now kind of what it's evolved into is something a little bit different, but something I'm really proud of, which is more of that community elements, that all-inclusive, you know, safe space for people to just really come and be themselves in a way that I have gotten feedback that they've never been able to before.
And I feel like if you put that out there, that finds the right audience.
Yes, 100%. I think that once that became known, that other people were telling other people, and then bringing, you know, their friends or family in that really just have been wanting to do this, but just didn't feel comfortable doing that anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, anybody can walk in the door here. They're going to feel welcomed, and they're going to feel supported.
Love it. Yeah. I want to talk about the bad bitch.
Oh. I'm the bad bitch.
So let's talk about that phrase, what you mean a little bit more. I think you were talking about people feeling like they have limitations.
Yes.
Self-imposed or otherwise.
Yeah. So a lot of what I experience from people when they come in is really a lack of confidence. And, you know, they'll say things like, I'm weak, I'm out of shape, I'm clumsy, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other thing. And, you know, a big part of what I do is build up people's confidence and their abilities, you know, to believe in themselves. And so I try to cut people off when they start saying things like, I'm clumsy, or I'm weak, or I'm this or that. I'm like, when I work out, I just tell myself I'm a bad bitch all the time in my head. And that works really well. It's, you know, when I'm doing something where I'm struggling, really, I just tell myself that in my head. And it really does help me to be able to finish what I'm doing, because I feel like that sense of empowerment, because I really believe it in that moment. And I feel like the other thing will happen if you're like, I'm weak, I'm, you know, and you're talking down to yourself. You're not believing in your own abilities, and that will manifest in reality.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm a bad bitch, it manifests in my reality.
I like it. So you mentioned before, April, that you drove by heading to Wegmans. You saw a for rent sign in the window. Were you planning on a place in Black Rock, or how did this come to be?
No. When I initially, before COVID, when I initially thought of opening my own space, I had imagined like this big space, and, you know, it's going to be all these rooms. And then COVID hit, and I said, well, I'm going to have to obviously downsize that in my mind.
Yeah.
I'd always loved this building. I drove by here all the time. At the time, I lived on Richmond, so I would drive by here all the time to go to Wegmans.
Well, she's an amazing job. Old gas station.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. So this building, I think, will be 100 either this year or next year.
Yeah.
And Susan, who owns the building, did a phenomenal job. She worked on it for many years.
Yeah.
And I used to drive by it a few times. I actually peeked in the window because I was just like, what's going on in there? That's such a cool building. Yeah. Never thinking I would actually end up here.
Wow.
And then when I drove by, I said, it's a sign. I've been loving this building. I have to jump on this.
Yeah.
And it took some convincing, because at that time, supposedly, you know, at that time they were saying gyms were really dangerous, and which didn't turn out to be the case. And it took some convincing, because I was the first tenant. I'm the first tenant in this space.
Yeah.
But, you know, Susan took a chance on me, so here we are. Yeah. But no, I didn't really anticipate being in this neighborhood. And now that I am, though, it's such a great location.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you have the Elmwood Village this way, you have Buffalo that way, you have the West Side this way.
Yeah.
So, like, you can basically get here from almost any part in the city pretty easily.
It's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody knows Wegmans. So I just say, right down the street from Wegmans, and everybody knows where I am.
We do.
Yeah.
Do you have people come to you and say that they're nervous about starting a training program?
All the time.
How do you respond to that?
This is the stuff that I love. Within the last few months, I had 2 women that were in their 70s that had never lifted a weight a day in their life.
Wow.
And I love stuff like that. And they were so nervous, and they didn't know what to expect. But I was just giving this advice to one of my clients earlier, really setting realistic small goals. So, like, say if you never worked out before, or you haven't worked out in 5 years. You don't want to be like, okay, I'm going to work out 5 days a week. I'm going to totally switch my nutrition. Right. I'm going to sleep 8 hours a night, when you know that's not going to happen. I think you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to stop. You're going to get frustrated. So I tell people, like, set the goal. Like, what's the first goal? Okay, I want to get to the gym 2 times a week. Just focus on that. Just do that consistently for a few months. Yeah. Then maybe add another day. Then maybe start to focus on nutrition. Then start to fine tune some other things. And it's a gradual approach. because if you try to take it on all at once, it's going to be too overwhelming. And that's where I see people drop off, pick up, drop off, because they're trying to change too many things in their lives too soon.
Well, April, thanks again for sitting down.
Thank you, Ryan.
If someone wants to get engaged, sign up for trainings, know more about 𝐸Fit, how should they do that?
So website, 𝐸Fit716.com, and social media, same thing, 𝐸Fit716 has all my contact information. Typically what I like for people to do is reach out and schedule a meeting with me so that we can sit down in person. That's usually what I like to do. But almost all my information is on the website in terms of the services that I offer, pricing, and then usually an in-person meeting from there is the best.
See what makes sense for them.
Yeah, exactly. Again, goals lining up, expectations lining up. That's
personal approach.
Yeah, 100%. Always, always.
Adequately worked.
Yes. Challenging but doable.
Yes.
That's the motto. Well, actually, no, I love the process, but I have several. All right, Ryan, since we've been sitting on our stability balls this entire time, we're going to go ahead and use them. Anyone that's been in this space knows that I love to use stability balls for core exercises. Okay. So
great.
We're going to do the infamous stir the pot, which you've done many times.
A few times.
It's just on the board yesterday. So we're going to come down into a plank on the ball, and we're going to do some little circles.
Okay.
So I'm going to step out here.
I'm not used to doing this.
Yeah, you're not usually here in real close.
Workout.
All right.
Real close.
Now let's go really slow to the left.
Oh, to the left first.
10 baby circles.
Okay.
We got 3.
Oh, this goes a lot quicker when I do it on my own.
Yeah, I know. You got to slow it down.
Oof. Okay.
All right. We're almost there. Now we got to go to the right. So 10 slow circles to the right.
I'm going to feel this tomorrow.
Probably. All right. And then that's it.
Woof.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Pieces of Western New York. If you haven't already, please subscribe, as we are going to be talking to more people throughout Western New York, friends, business owners, all sorts of places that you might want to check out. Thank you again.